When someone disappears in the wilderness, the explanation usually falls into one of three categories. They got lost, they met with foul play, or they intentionally walked away to start a new life. The Jamison family stood apart from these patterns. They were heading into a dense, isolated stretch of Oklahoma backcountry with a highly unusual goal: to buy a remote plot of land and live completely off the grid inside a cargo container. To see if the location was right, they drove out to inspect the property. It was a place so remote they were expected to be the only human beings for miles. But shortly after they arrived, all three members of the family vanished. They left behind their truck, locked and abandoned on an empty dirt road. People go missing in the woods every year, but the real mystery here lies in the items found inside the cab, a collection of objects that create a series of logical contradictions. The vehicle sits on that dirt road as a physical contradiction, actively defying every standard explanation for a wilderness disappearance. Inside the locked cab, investigators discovered a heavy bag stuffed with $32,000 in cash. This find complicates the foul play theory. Robbers don't leave massive fortunes behind. Next to the cash sat Sherilynn Jamison's purse and the family's only GPS device. Leaving behind identification, a massive sum of money, and their primary navigation tool challenges the idea of a planned disappearance. Those intending to start over rarely leave behind the exact resources required to do so. But the most disturbing discovery was the family dog, found nearly starved to death inside the locked vehicle days later. The animal's presence suggests an interruption so sudden the Jamisons couldn't retrieve it, or a situation where they fully expected to return to the vehicle within minutes. The presence of the money, the missing IDs, and the trapped pet create an evidentiary deadlock. Each one rules out a different theory: robbery, flight, or a simple accident, leaving investigators with no clear path forward. In response, law enforcement deployed a search grid of 300 volunteers directly into the surrounding woods. These teams combed through a vast expanse of rugged, rocky Oklahoma terrain, searching for any sign of the family's movement. They scoured the very ground where the Jamisons were supposed to be alone. Yet, despite the massive manpower, they found no clothing, no footprints, and no physical trace of the family's path. The wilderness failed to yield a single trace of the Jamisons, leaving investigators with nothing but the impossible contradictions still locked inside the truck. The trail remained cold for 4 years as the initial search operations faded into memory. Then, two hunters pushing from dense brush stumbled upon the skeletal remains of 3 bodies lying side by side. A coordinated effort by hundreds of people had found nothing, but random chance finally located the Jamisons. This brought no resolution. Because of the extreme decomposition, the remains could confirm where the family ended up, but they offered no medical evidence as to how they died. The discovery of the remains failed to resolve the contradictions found in the truck. Knowing where they ended up doesn't explain the abandoned fortune, the missing GPS, or the pet left to starve in a locked cab. The Jamison case serves as a reminder of the limits of any investigation. Sometimes finding the victims doesn't provide answers. It only highlights the void left behind when logic fails to explain the facts.